We're welcoming today Juliette Smith, who is a relationship coach and counsellor. So welcome, Juliette.
Morning.
The reason why I invited you along today is we've known each other since 2009. And I know that you've helped a huge amount of people within their relationships. And from a health point of view, whether it's your relationship with yourself, personal relationships, or even at work, healthy and positive relationships really are crucial and really, really important for health. So I thought it'd be excellent to have you along today so that you can explain about relationship coaching and counselling and what you do, so that if somebody is struggling within a relationship right now and don't know where to turn, they can find out if what you do is the right thing for them. So
yeah, lovely.
Hello and welcome.
Thank you for inviting. Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
So I think the forefront question really is, what is a relationship coach and counsellor?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, because I'm trained in both, which is unusual really, because my training gives me more scope, I guess, to have a wider bag of tools, a wider variety of what I can offer people. So my focus as a coach is to ask people, what do they want? So it's a kind of forward focusing. What do you want? What are your goals? What does this relationship need? What do you want it to look like? And how are we going to get there? So I support them to take the steps that they need to get there. And then in addition, with my counselling skills, I can help people go deeper so they can understand themselves a little bit more, understand their partners a little bit more, and understand and overcome any blocks that get in the way of them using the tools and techniques that I give them to move forward. So whether it's with couples or with individuals, because I work with both, I can help them. It's a kind of go in that direction and go in that direction. Go forward and go deep, I guess, is the combination.
And because how does that differ from your marriage guidance?
It does, as far as I understand. I mean, from my experience as a client in marriage guidance, it was more of a counselling approach. So my experience was that we focus more on the problems, what has happened and what's going wrong, whereas my focus as a coach is more on what do you want.
Yeah, so you're getting that extra element, really.
Yeah, it's not ignoring what's gone wrong, but it's not focusing on it.
Okay, fabulous. And as far as being a relationship coach, then it's not one of those 101 jobs that people automatically think of. So how did you come to be a relationship coach?
Gosh, it makes me feel old, because I've been a coach for about 20 years now.
Yeah.
The first 10 years were not totally focused on relationships. It was more kind of executive coaching, life coaching, and so on. So I've been a relationship coach and kind of counseling people for about 10 years of those 20. And I guess really what got me into coaching was the real curiosity about personal development, and knowing that, having done my own personal development, knowing that when you really understand yourself and really know yourself, you can have a better quality of life. So that was my kind of motivation for becoming a coach. And then actually becoming a relationship coach was through the demise of my own marriage. Ironically, we went to see a number of different counselors, and it just didn't seem to work. They didn't seem to be able to help us. And I would often sit in a session with the relationship counselor thinking, I kind of know intuitively what you need to ask. And so I thought, I want to do this. There's a gap here for this positive, focused work on relationships. So I went and got more training, a lot more training. So I did relationship coach training. I then went to the States. I've trained with Julia and John Gottman. John Gottman has got 40 years experience as a relationship therapist and the coach. He's written in the USA. He's written lots of books, so I've done lots of training with him. And I love that approach, that kind of evidence-based, practical approach that goes hand in hand with the counselling therapeutic approach.
Fantastic. And that's, I think, really helpful as well when you've already been there when you're coaching people then. So
to understand what it is kind of to be on the other side. Yeah, absolutely.
And so what type of, what things do you help through your coaching and counselling then?
Predominantly with relationships. So the majority of my clients are couples or individuals who are in a relationship that isn't working, and they either want to extricate themselves if they can, or they want to do their bit to try and make it work because their partner doesn't want to come to someone like me.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say the main issue that people come to me to talk about is communication. They're struggling being able to communicate. What I often find, though, is that although they present that's the issue, that what's causing the problem in the communication is disconnection.
Mm-hmm.
There might be some kind of acrimony, a kind of, not a good feeling between the couple. So we explore that and we look at what's created that. But I'd say that's the main issue. Sometimes it's something that's happened. Perhaps something has happened in the past that people can't get over. We work through that. I give people a lot of communication tools so that they can communicate more effectively. But I think that's the main issue. Supporting people to let go of resentment, anger, learning how to forgive, those kind of things.
And so in those situations, if there's a lot of anger and resentment, and if it's on both sides, you're saying sometimes you work with just the one partner. If it's coming from both sides, can the approach still help, or do you find that as one partner's going through that journey, the other half sees the changes and then is more willing to get involved as well?
Yeah, it's a two-prong approach. Now, for someone who comes on their own, they can make a difference, because when you think about it, if you're angry, if you're kind of fighting, you've got fight energy, and then someone comes back with equal fight energy, you've got to fight.
Yes, yeah.
But if you've got a fight energy and this person is calm and forgiving, understanding, wants to listen, the fight energy doesn't really go anywhere, so it dissipates.
Mm-hmm.
So what I teach people, whether they're on their own or they come with their partner, is how to really listen. Mm-hmm. Because most people don't. Like most people, when we're listening, we're actually formulating our next argument or our defense. So I teach people how to really listen and also to see their partner, because nobody is angry for no reason. Generally, we have these kind of feelings because we have an unmet need, for instance.
Okay.
But we don't really explore that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you can see I use my hands a lot. I kind of dig underneath. What's the presenting issue? So if your partner is resentful or angry, or you're resentful or angry, mm-hmm. Why? Let's go deeper and explore why. And have you both explain to each other what's going on more deeply? What caused you to do the behavior that has upset your partner, for instance? I believe nobody intrinsically is a bad person. We're kind of good people who perhaps do bad behaviors or misguided behaviors. Why? And so that's what we explore.
And because often people can be coming from an emotional reaction, can't they? They can be triggers. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, absolutely.
Because you mentioned emotions earlier, so are there any handy tips is what I meant, handy tips to help people to respond in a different way if an emotion comes up?
Great question. It can be hard because if, for instance, we're faced with anger, mm-hmm. unconsciously we feel threatened. Our fight, flight, freeze mechanism kicks in and we go into fear. So whether we're kind of afraid for our physical well-being, because if someone's angry, we might be afraid, or if someone is vehemently disagreeing with us, we can feel threatened. Like our identity can feel threatened because our opinions, our beliefs are being challenged. So we go into this fight, flight, freeze mode, which can either be like that or we fight back. So it's quite difficult to control that. So if you've already gone into that, the trick is to be aware that that's what's happened. Reassure yourself or check you're not in danger, because obviously there may be a danger. It depends on if your partner is being violent, for instance, then you would understandably perhaps be nervous. But if there is no real danger, then take some time to calm down And I know that can be hard in a conversation to say, hang on, I need to take 5 minutes, I need to calm down. But it's really important because as part of that fight, flight, freeze response, your body is flooded with adrenaline, with cortisol and so on, and they need to dissipate. So take 5 minutes, go and walk around the block, have a drink of water, take some deep breaths to calm down.
Yeah,
that's the
I was going to say, because when all of that's flooding your system, you can't think clearly, can you? So
absolutely. You can't think clearly. You disconnect because all your bodily systems are focused on survival. So you're not going to think rationally. You can't communicate effectively. You're certainly not going to feel loving towards your partner. But if you take a few minutes to kind of reconnect with yourself, you can then come back to the conversation. And the other thing to think about, perhaps afterwards, is also what has triggered me. We all have kind of internal triggers, these kind of sensitivity buttons, if you like, that they get pressed inadvertently by people around us. So, for instance, I'm thinking, if for instance you have a sensitivity button of being emotional is really bad, because that's what you were told when you were little. You pull yourself together, don't you cry, it's silly to cry. If you were told that when you were little, potentially then you've learned to shut down your emotions because that's safe, and you learn that you get love from mummy and daddy when you're strong and you're not emotional. But then when you're faced potentially with a really emotional partner, you're probably going to go, oh my God, I don't know what to do, I'm scared. Or you might just, you feel completely out of your depth. So it's an old button that gets pressed. But if you can be aware of that, you can share that with your partner. You can explain to them, this is why I look like I close down, for instance. When you get angry with me and I shut down, this is why.
That's
that you get to know each other.
Yeah, very much. And that's the communication element, isn't it? Because we can't mind read each other and know what your triggers are either without. Because like I say, we've all had different upbringings, to be told don't cry or it's okay to, then
Because equally, you might have been someone that, as a child, in order to get your parents' attention, maybe having a tantrum really worked and was really successful. So you've learned that having an emotional tantrum gets you the attention that you want. And even though that's a childlike behavior, we carry them into our adulthood. So it could be that if you're behaving that way with your partner, you don't realize that's what you're doing. It's a childlike behavior, but it doesn't work as an adult strategy. If you can learn that, because part of this, as I said, is about self-awareness, learning, why do I react the way I react? Why am I feeling the way I'm feeling? But then also, how can I share that with my partner so they know me and they understand my sensitivities? It's not because I'm a bad person, it's just I've got these triggers, these internal sensitivities.
And so along that note, say with arguments or disagreements, is it that you only see people when it's right at the end of the road of a relationship, that this is the last hope? Is that the only time you see people or not?
No, it's not the only time. I mean, unfortunately, sometimes that is the case. I spoke to a gentleman yesterday who said to me, why didn't I meet you 7 years ago? Sometimes it is like that. I think because people, we do live up to our stereotype of Britishness sometimes. We have to carry on. I should be able to do relationships on my own. We should know what to do. But we're not taught at school how to do relationships. But unfortunately, some people do keep going and going and going without getting help. And it can get really, really bad before they come to see me. But also, some people come and see me actually when they have quite a good relationship. They've perhaps just they've hit a bump in the road. Maybe something has happened that they're struggling with to handle. So it's the whole kind of range, really. I've even had a couple once come to me when they got engaged, had no problems. They wanted to make sure they had their values were aligned and they were on the right track to get married. So very, very different reasons for coming. And I also do see some individuals who are on their own. Their relationship has ended. And they are learning to be single, or they're struggling to go through a divorce, and they're actually wanting to kind of disengage from the relationship as it was, but create a new relationship where their partner is a co-parent. So it's a kind of different thing again, that the relationship as was has ended, but they need to create a new relationship, which can be challenging.
And actually, that's what comes to mind there with you saying people on their own. Do you see people where they're say perpetually single? You know, they just can never find the right partner, and they really do want to settle down. Do you ever see people in that situation?
Yeah, sometimes, because I, sometimes I hear from someone who says, I just keep repeating the same old patterns, for some reason, or, I'm very scared of commitment, or I just can't be myself with somebody. So those sometimes single people will come and see me.
Okay. And are there any other types of relationships or people that you see that you help?
Thinking of it, I mean, I've got a couple of corporate clients at the moment, so I do work with people involved in business, and they could be having a challenging relationship with their boss or their business partner. I've worked with siblings. I did work with a lady once who wanted to improve her relationship with her father. Her father had passed away, and she just couldn't come to terms with the relationship she'd had. We did some lovely work on her relationship with her father, even though he was no longer here. I've seen a mum with her teenage child. So lots of different relationships.
Fantastic. And with you mentioning the workplace, actually, because that sometimes can be to use a strong word, really quite toxic environment sometimes. I know certainly with treating clients, they can hate going to work, and like you say, with their boss, or that there's lots of backbiting within a business. So I can imagine that's an area could do being explored more.
It can be a really stressful place to be, because I think most people tend to put on a bit of a front at work. So at home, if I'm feeling really upset, maybe I can easily cry, or I can easily get angry, but at work it's harder. And if you've got a toxic relationship, say with your boss, then obviously there's a whole other raft of kind of issues that come into play in terms of, am I going to lose my job? Where is my career going? So it can be really challenging. So sometimes when I've worked with corporate clients, I work with the individual, and other times I have worked with both people, not kind of formally in mediation as such, but actually being brought in by the company to see if I can support two individuals to be able to at least work together, maybe not be best friends, but to have a kind of healthier working relationship.
Fantastic. Because I was just thinking that when you say somebody on their own, that if you've got a problem with your boss and you think you might lose your job, you're not perhaps approaching relationship coaching wouldn't be the first avenue. It'd be to see what you can do first.
Ideally, I mean, yes, absolutely, because it's really hard, and in that environment, especially with a boss, well, who's going to pay for it for a start? Would he or she be open to it? What's the company going to think? There's a lot of other issues that come into play. But like I said a few minutes ago, even if I were to work one-to-one with one half of the relationship, we can create change. You can't change the other person, but you can change yourself in relation to the other person. So you can feel more empowered. You can have ways of handling. If the other person at work, for instance, is aggressive, how you can handle that aggression. So there are still ways of changing the relationship, even if it's just one person that I see.
Very much, because when you change in the way you present yourself, even the energy that you give off, that person will respond differently, won't they?
Absolutely. Exactly. It's back to that example I was giving. If you're angry with me and I just say to you, God, I can really hear that you're angry, what's going on? That's very different. Don't you talk to me like that. It's completely different. It's got to be genuine. It's not a script, but as I said before, nobody is unpleasant naturally. There's something else going on.
Definitely.
Fear is a big one, especially in a corporate environment, especially at the moment. everybody's kind of stressed or fearful of something, and that often manifests as anger and unpleasantness.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, like you say, it's that going into that fight and flight mode again. So
Yeah, definitely.
And are there any situations where relationship coaching and counselling isn't appropriate? It's not the right thing?
Yeah, I would say if someone is experiencing really serious distress, anxiety, depression, like serious depression, any kind of mental health problems, then I would suggest they go and see a psychotherapist. In a relationship, if there's any kind of abuse, addiction, then I think the individuals need therapists. I'm always happy for people to talk to me, do contact me, and I can signpost, because I do get a few emails from people who are just beside themselves. They don't know where else to go. So I have a good kind of list of places to refer people to. If I'm not the right person, I generally know someone who is.
That's it, with your years of experience that you've built up that network of support network of other
very much. I mean, there's some amazing professionals, there's some amazing organizations around that can help people if I can't.
Yeah, fantastic. And that's a hugely empowering thing in itself, isn't it, to know that you're the right thing or the right avenue to pursue as well, and you can see that early on or spot that early on. So,
yes, absolutely, because I think it's it's great. If someone reaches out for support, sometimes that can take great courage, and so that's why I want to really help them, even if I'm not the right person, is to say it's great that you've reached out. Go and talk to this person or that person, because I'm not the right person.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. And we've touched on emotions and communication and reactions a lot, and it was really helpful with how to respond when somebody's very, very angry or not meeting those emotions. Are there any self-help tips as well for just helping people to communicate more clearly as well? You did within the reactions, but is there anything else?
Gosh, there's loads. I mean, in terms of how you can communicate, I think the main thing is be honest. Honest and clear. We have this tendency to be ashamed of our feelings. So if I'm scared or nervous or sad, we tend to cover them with something else. And so then and because we're feeling sad, if we're communicating to someone and we're not being honest about being sad, the person receives a kind of unclear communication, because our words are a very small percentage of what we communicate. Our energy and our emotion is a big percentage. So I guess one of the suggestions I would make is be honest. I know it means potentially being vulnerable, being open, but particularly in an intimate relationship, instead of expressing big emotions in a big way that might be scary or intimidating, there's nothing wrong with saying, I feel really angry right now. Someone is more likely to receive that than if you're kind of, effing and blinding and kind of being really aggressive or critical or accusatory. But it takes that self-awareness again, and it takes that self-management as well, that moment to breathe, stay calm and think, what do I want to communicate? What's my intention here? With what I'm about to say, what do I want?
Yeah.
Because, what isn't very helpful is what I call it the vomit. If you vomit your words and your energy and your criticisms, what are you going to get? It's not going to get you the result that you want. So I would just take a moment and think, what do I want from this communication?
I think that's excellent. That's, like you say, what is your aim? What do you want before you say it? And if somebody's been in a relationship for decades and never said what they want, does it come as a massive and horrible shock to the other half? Generally, how is that generally received?
It might do, but what? I think people are pretty intuitive. I think people know, and the wants and the needs that people have are not that different. We want to be seen, we want to be heard and loved, acknowledged and appreciated. Underneath, that's that's often what's kind of fueling the emotion.
Yeah, very much.
So, I don't think a partner would be that surprised. But often we don't even know what our own needs are to be able to communicate them. So, I might think, for instance, I need you to load the dishwasher properly. Might feel like a need. And I might be really annoyed because you never load the dishwasher properly. But actually, if you stop for a minute and think, okay, really, what is my need?
Hmm.
And it could be, you never listen to me. I've asked you to load the dishwasher that way, but you don't. So actually the feeling is that I'm kind of hurt because you're not listening to me. It could be, I'm worried about money and I really need you to load the dishwasher properly so we can economize. Those kind of things you'd never think of. You think, why are you getting upset about, for instance, how someone is loading the dishwasher? If you just take a minute and think, what's going on underneath?
Yeah, very much.
It won't be a surprise, I don't think, really, to a partner when it's generally something in the realm of what I've just said.
And that's it, isn't it? It's taking that step back and assessing, what your needs are.
Yeah.
And for some people, they can do that on their own, and get to the bottom of it. But if somebody can't, then that would be the situation of potentially coming to see somebody like you. So just for the benefit of those that are watching, how do you work over the internet and Zoom, or those types of avenues of mentioning brands, or is it purely a one-to-one? What are the different ways that people will be able to get further help with yourself?
A great question. I mean, ordinarily in normal times, whatever normal times are now, I see people here in my office, but of course I haven't seen anybody here for months. So at the moment, all my clients are on a screen. No names mentioned, but yes, I use Zoom a lot.
Yeah.
They can contact me. I've got a website in juliettesmith.co.uk. Is easily findable. My telephone number is on there. People can email me. And if people don't want to come and see me, I have an online program that they can download, and they can do some of this self-awareness work that I've been talking about. They can do that on their own if they want. There's a workbook, there's videos to watch, there's lots to read. So and I have other kind of free resources on my website, advice articles, videos, and so on. So there's a lot that can be found there. So there's a lot of different options if somebody needs support.
Yeah, so it's a great range of choice, because for what people want and what you feel comfortable with in that moment. So to do the online work, if you're don't feel ready to speak about it openly, then fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah, it also gives them a chance to kind of hear and see me and see the way that I work, because a lot of stuff in my online program is very similar to the way I work when I work directly with clients.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. So just if you're not sure, to kind of dip your toe in the water.
Yeah. And I offer a trial session as well to people. That's what I often say to people: come and have a trial session.
Okay.
Suss me out, ask me questions, have a go at the actual work, see what it feels like, see if it works for you, see if it feels right for you.
And because that's hugely important, isn't it? It's that feeling like you're the right people to work together, and that person in the room can feel 100% comfortable in sharing everything, because that's where kind of the light bulb moments happen, or things can really progress.
Yeah, it's really important that somebody feels comfortable with me, that they can trust me, and that they feel safe with me. And it's a chemistry thing. I always say to people, that's why I think a trial session is important. If you feel comfortable, that you can express yourself really vulnerably and openly with me, then maybe this can work.
Yeah, very much.
It would be a beneficial thing to do.
Yeah, no, definitely, very much. Well, fabulous. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you. Thanks. Fabulous. Have a really good conversation about it. I don't often talk about my work in this way, so it's lovely.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, nice to have the opportunity to. And then you've shared some really helpful things as well for people, just to start to get them thinking on how things can be different as well. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. I think it's important people don't give up hope until they've seen somebody to get that third perspective, because we can get really stuck in our positions, really stuck in our beliefs and our feelings, and just to get an external view on something. The number of people I see, and after one session, they can see there is hope and there is possibility of change. So that's what I would suggest to people. Don't give up until you've seen someone, who's an external, someone external and neutral.
Yeah, that's it. It must be hugely empowering, because if love and the relationship was there to begin with, then it can be there again, can't it? So
yeah, I totally believe that, and I've seen it plenty of times.
Yeah, fantastic, lovely. So thank you ever so much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And all of your details will be below this video, so then if people would like to find out more, then they can follow the links and get in touch if they want to.
Look forward to hearing from them. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you.